You are so tired, aren't you? I know. I know more clearly than anything you have ever managed to say out loud. I know there are kinds of weariness that do not show on your face, that leave no visible wound on your body, that no one can detect with their eyes, and yet they press down on your heart day after day, night after night. I know there are mornings when you wake up, and before your feet even touch the floor, your soul already feels heavy. I know there are nights when your body is exhausted, but your mind refuses to rest, your heart refuses to be still, and your thoughts keep moving like relentless waves, leaving you unable to truly settle. I know there are days when you still smile, still answer people, still fulfill your responsibilities, and yet deep inside, your spirit feels as though it has collapsed to the ground from carrying too much for too long. My beloved child, today you do not need to keep forcing yourself to hold it together. Today, you do not need to prove to anyone that you are fine. Today, you do not need to come to me with polished words, perfect sentences, or a strong and shining faith, as though you must be steady before I will listen. No, you only need to sit here for a little while, be still for a moment, and let these words reach the deepest place in your heart. I am not searching for a carefully composed version of you. I am not waiting until you are at peace before I come near. I am not waiting until you stop hurting before I gather you into my arms. I come when you are still worn thin. I come when your heart is still tangled. I come when your eyes are still heavy. I come when all you have left is a sigh. And today I want you to hear this clearly. I see you. I know you. I understand what you are carrying, and I have not turned away from your weariness. There are kinds of exhaustion you have started calling normal simply because you have lived with them for so long. Tired from responsibility, tired from overthinking, tired of being afraid of tomorrow, tired from enduring certain people, tired from trying to preserve a relationship that is slowly draining the life out of you, tired from pretending to be strong when deep down all you want is someone safe to lean against and cry. Tired because it has been so long since anyone sincerely asked whether you are really okay. Tired because you are always the one who listens, the one who understands, the one who cares, the one who carries others while no one truly stops to listen to you. Tired from layers of pressure stacked on top of pressure. Tired from living, striving, enduring, and swallowing every ache that cuts into your soul. Some days, what exhausts you is not one dramatic tragedy, but hundreds of tiny wounds collecting quietly inside you. A cold word, an indifferent glance, a silence that makes your heart ache, a disappointment you never dared to share, a sadness you hide because you are afraid of becoming a burden. I see it all. I know there are children of mine who have lived far too long in silence. Silence not because they have nothing to say, but because they are too tired to keep explaining themselves. There are those who have endured so much that others now call them strong. Yet only I know how hard they have been bracing themselves just to keep going. There are those who appear perfectly normal to the world, yet at night they fall apart in the dark. There are those who have said, "I'm okay," so many times that even they no longer realize that phrase has become a coat they wear to cover a freezing heart. There are those who do not cry much anymore, not because the pain is gone, but because they have hurt for so long that numbness has taken over. There are those who no longer know exactly why they are sad. They only know there is a heaviness in them they cannot name. And today, if you are one of those people, I want you to know that you are not weak because you are tired. You are not shameful because you are drained. You are not a failure because there are days when you cannot bear the weight of yourself. What you need is not more pressure. What you need is to be held, to be understood, to rest, to be healed. I know there are days when you are deeply disappointed in yourself. You look at others and assume they are stronger, steadier, more resilient, more at peace. You ask yourself why you still hurt over old things, why you have not been able to let go, why you have prayed and still feel heavy, why you have tried so hard and yet feel as though you are not getting anywhere. You wonder if perhaps you lack faith, lack maturity, lack strength. But my child, I do not look at you with the condemning eyes you have been using against yourself. When you see weakness, I see a soul that has been carrying too much for too long. When you see confusion, I see a heart overwhelmed beyond its limits. When you see slowness in your healing, I see a child who has walked through deep wounds and needs to be touched with gentleness. I am not angry because you are not okay yet. I am not weary of your wounds. I am not disappointed because there are days when you want to let go of everything. On the contrary, I draw closest to the brokenhearted, because I know the very place where you feel weakest is often the place where you most need to be loved. My child, has it been a long time since you truly rested? Not only physically, but deeply, inwardly, in your spirit. Rest from the pressure to always be strong. Rest from the fear of being abandoned. Rest from the voice in your head that keeps demanding more, faster, better, stronger. Rest from the constant need to prove your worth. Rest from the feeling that if you do not push just a little harder, everything will collapse. I know you have grown used to carrying things, used to enduring, used to putting one foot in front of the other, even when your heart has almost nothing left. Used to taking care of everyone else, putting yourself last, and only realizing how empty you are when you finally sit down in the quiet. There are people who have lived in exhaustion so long that they begin to believe it is simply their destiny. There are people who have lived in hurt so long that they begin to believe they do not deserve tenderness. There are people who have been lonely so long that they begin to believe no one could ever truly understand them. But today, I tell you this. You were not created to exist in constant depletion. You were created to live in love. You were not created to spend your whole life merely surviving one day after another. You were created to know peace. You were not created to keep carrying burdens too heavy for your soul. You were created to bring them to me. I know there are wounds in you that are not new, but still have not healed. Perhaps it is pain from family, from the very place that was supposed to shelter you, yet became a place that left deep and quiet cuts in your heart. Perhaps it is the wound of a love that once made you believe you were truly seen, and then one day left you feeling abandoned. Perhaps it is words spoken years ago that should have faded by now, yet still remain in your spirit like hidden thorns. Perhaps someone wounded you deeply, then walked away lightly while you remained with the long nights, the confusion, and the questions with no answers. Perhaps you tried so hard to be good, to be understanding, to be selfless, to be kind, and all you received in return was indifference. Perhaps you chose silence, patience, endurance, compromise, and self-denial to preserve peace, to protect your family, to save a relationship, to keep others comfortable, and in the end, your own heart became the place where all the breaking was stored. I know every bit of it, and I want you to hear me clearly. What hurt you was not small. What exhausted you was not meaningless. The tears you hid were not wasted. There are people listening to these words whose hearts are trembling because it has been such a long time since anyone has spoken to them with true tenderness. They have grown used to being pushed, measured, demanded from, compared, judged, and treated as though they should always be able to handle more. There are people who are always the strong one for everybody else, so when they themselves begin to weaken, they feel ashamed for needing support. There are people who judge themselves for not healing as quickly as someone else seems to. There are people who have cried in the bathroom, in the dark bedroom, under a blanket, crying so silently they did not want anyone to hear how broken they were. There are people who fulfill their roles every day, but on the inside, they are nothing but an endless ache. If that is you, I want to say this to you. You do not need to be ashamed of the fact that you are hurting. You do not need to pretend to be composed when your soul is torn open. You do not need to hide your weariness in order to seem easier for other people to be around. In my presence, you are allowed to be real. In my presence, you are allowed to be weak. In my presence, you do not need to wear any mask at all. Come to me with the truth of where you are. Come with tired eyes. Come with a tangled heart. Come with sleepless nights. Come with anxiety you do not know how to explain. Come with the why questions you have carried for so long. Come with your disappointment. Come with your confusion. Come with the grief of trying so hard and still not feeling loved in the way you need. I do not love the strong version of you more than I love this exhausted version of you. I do not love you more on the days you smile. I do not move farther away on the days you cry. I do not only hear you when you pray in clear and polished words. I hear you in your broken sobs. I hear you in your silence. I hear you even when you do not know what to say and can only stare upward with a heavy sigh. I do not need you to fix yourself before you come. I want you to come so I can heal you. My child, what is exhausting you is not only what is happening around you, but also what you have been holding inside for far too long. You are holding the pain of being misunderstood. You are holding memories no one has ever touched with tenderness. You are holding words that made you question your worth. You are holding all the times you were abandoned, ignored, misunderstood, and all the times you gave everything you had and still felt like it was not enough. You are holding the fear that if you let go even a little, everything will fall apart. You are holding guilt over what has already passed. You are holding grief you cannot even name. All of those things are like stones inside your spirit. At first, there were only a few. Then, day after day, you kept picking up more, carrying more, and still forcing yourself to keep walking as though you had strength left. And at some point, you could no longer move forward, though you did not fully understand why you were so tired. Today, I say to you, set it down. Not because what you carry is small, but precisely because it is so heavy that you were never meant to carry it all alone. Give me your fear of tomorrow. Give me your fear of not being understood. Give me your sleepless nights. Give me your family pain. Give me your mental exhaustion. Give me the sorrow with no name that keeps coming back. Give me your disappointment in yourself. Give me your unanswered questions. I am not afraid of these things. I do not get tired of hearing your heart. I do not grow impatient when you come to me with the same wound again and again. I am not frustrated that you are still struggling with the same pain. I know healing does not happen in one night. I know there are wounds that have rooted themselves over many years, and cannot disappear from one encouraging sentence. So I do not blame you for moving slowly. I do not demand that you recover immediately. I simply invite you to come closer, one day at a time, and let my love do its quiet work within you. Perhaps for a long time, you have tried to heal yourself by keeping yourself busy. You threw yourself into work. You filled your days with responsibilities, conversations, noise, glowing screens late into the night, constant motion, because being busy allowed you to forget, for a little while, the emptiness inside you. Perhaps you tried to find healing by pleasing others, by giving too much, by sacrificing until you were emptied, by becoming indispensable to someone, hoping that maybe then you would feel less alone. But my beloved, some survival strategies may have helped you make it through a painful season, yet they cannot heal your soul forever. Some of the things you have used to fill the emptiness have only made you more exhausted. Today, I do not blame you for trying. I know you did what you could. But now I invite you to another way, not by forcing yourself to become stronger, but by allowing yourself to be still inside my love. Let me walk into the rooms you have kept locked away, the room of memories you do not want to revisit, the room of words that made you ashamed, the room of fears nobody knows about, the room of insecurity where you always feel less than others, the room of abandonment where you keep expecting everyone to leave, the room of the past where decisions still haunt you with regret, the room of the old relationship you never truly walked out of, the room of night where you once felt you had nothing left to hold on to. Let me enter each of those rooms, not to make you hurt more, but to bring light, not to condemn, but to restore, not to force you to forget, but to stay with you until that pain no longer has power over you. You have often believed that you must be good enough to deserve love, that you must be accomplished enough to have value, that you must be strong enough not to be left behind, that you must be okay enough in order for people to stay. But I want you to hear this deeply. Your worth does not come from how much you can accomplish. Your worth does not come from how other people perceive you. Your worth does not come from your achievements, your appearance, your strength, or your ability to endure. Your worth comes from the fact that you are mine. There is no wound that makes you less precious to me. There is no failure that can erase the dignity I placed inside you. There is no past dark enough to make me stop seeing the light I planted in your soul. Even if today you feel confused, fragile, scattered, and undone, in my eyes you are still a beloved child, worthy of love, worthy of care, worthy of being lifted up, worthy of healing. I know you are afraid to let go, afraid that if you release your worry, everything will get worse, afraid that if you stop bracing yourself, no one will hold you up, afraid that if you become soft again, life will wound you all over again, afraid that if you trust again, you will be disappointed again, afraid that if you open your heart, you will be hurt again. I do not make light of those fears. I know they have reasons. I know they were formed from real pain. But my beloved, there is a great difference between protecting your heart and imprisoning it in loneliness. There is a difference between maturity and closing yourself off because you are afraid of being wounded. There is a difference between caution and despair. I am not forcing you to be joyful right now, to trust instantly, or to open yourself all at once. I am only asking one small thing. Open a crack in the door for me. Just one whisper. Lord, I'm tired. Just one breath. Stay with me. Just one tear. Heal me. That alone is enough for grace to begin flowing into the driest places in your soul. I do not heal you by denying your pain. I heal you by staying with you in it. I do not tell you to stop being sad as though sadness were a switch you could flip off. I sit down beside you. I place my hand on your soul. I tell you that you are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to cry. You are allowed to be weak. You are allowed not to understand everything. You are allowed not to be okay. But you do not have to be there alone. I am not promising that every circumstance in your life will change immediately. I am not saying that tomorrow there will be no more struggle. I am telling you this. In the middle of everything that has not yet changed, I am still here. When others do not understand, I understand. When others walk away, I remain. When you do not know how to take the next step, I will lead you through one small step at a time. When you do not have strong faith, I still receive the trembling faith you do have. There are people hearing these words who are quietly thinking, I have been praying for so long, so why do I still not feel lighter? My child, I know the weariness of waiting. I know what it feels like to hope many times, and then feel let down. I know there are nights when you talk to me, and then wake up the next morning still facing the same burden, the same worry, the same wound, the same heaviness. But you must know this. Silence does not mean I am absent. Delay does not mean I have abandoned you. Some healing happens quietly, like a seed sprouting under the soil. Nothing is visible yet, but life has already begun. There are days when you think you are still the same, yet in truth, you no longer collapse as easily as you once did. There are wounds that still ache, yet they no longer drive you into the same hopelessness. There are nights when you still cry, but now you know how to lift your tears toward me. There are moments when you are still tired, but you no longer hate yourself for being tired. That is healing, too. Healing is not always the immediate disappearance of pain. Many times, healing is the end of your loneliness inside that pain. Do not think that because you are still sad, your faith is too weak. Do not think that because you are still afraid, I am disappointed in you. I do not measure my love for you by how calm you are. I do not love you more on the days when you seem stronger. I love you on the days when you are shaking, overwhelmed, and easily broken. I want you to stop looking at yourself with such harshness. I want you to learn how to speak to yourself with the voice of mercy. You have lived too long under the pressure to recover quickly, to stop hurting, to mature faster, to become brighter and stronger, until you forgot that a wounded soul also needs time, needs rest, needs to be gently bandaged little by little. If today you still cry over something old, I do not mock you. If today you are still tired from burdens that have lasted a long time, I do not blame you. If today you feel as though you have not made much progress, I still sit beside you and say, rest, I am here. Look at yourself again, but this time through the truth. The truth is that you have already come a long way. You are still here after so many storms. You are still capable of loving after having been hurt. You are still seeking light even after nights that felt impossible to survive. You are still listening to these words, which means that deep inside you, there is still a small part of you longing for life, longing for peace, longing to be healed. Do not underestimate that part. Do not dismiss the tiny light still left inside your soul. I can build a flame from the smallest spark. I can bring hope out of ground you believed was dead. I can restore the parts of you that you assumed could never be repaired. I do not work only in those who are whole. I often do my deepest work in those who know they need saving. Let today be the day you stop fighting yourself. Stop blaming yourself for being tired. Stop being ashamed of being weak. Stop forcing yourself to smile when your heart is still heavy. Stop comparing your journey to everyone else's. Stop believing you must do all of this alone. Stop thinking you are not allowed to collapse. There are battles you do not need to win by your own strength. There are burdens you do not need to carry forever just to prove your worth. There are memories you do not need to keep bowing before. I want to teach you again this simple way. When you are tired, come to me. When you are afraid, hold on to me. When you cry, cry in my presence. When you have no words left, sit in silence with me. Peace does not begin when every problem disappears. Peace begins when your soul knows it is being held by the one who loves it. If what is making you tired today is people, then hear me. Not everyone can give you what only I can give. Human beings love within limits, through their own wounds, weaknesses, inconsistencies, absences, and failings. But I love you without basing that love on your performance, your appearance, or how well you satisfy expectations. My love for you is not a reward for perfection. It is a home you can return to, even when you are still in pieces. If you keep expecting another person to fill every empty place inside you, you will only become more exhausted, because your heart is thirsty for a love deeper than this world can offer. I am not telling you to stop needing people or to stop loving people. I am simply reminding you that the deepest part of you was made for me. And when you let me dwell there, you will begin to love others without losing yourself. If what is making you tired today is the future, the unknown, money, responsibility, family, work, or the question of what tomorrow will become, then I want you to know that I am already present in your tomorrow before you arrive there. What looks like fog to you is not dark to me. What feels like a cliff to you is not outside my hand. I am not promising that you will never walk through hardship, but I promise you that you will not walk through it alone. Worry steals strength from today for things that have not even happened yet. But I invite you back to this moment, this breath, this truth. I am here. I am with you. There are seasons when you do not need a map for the whole road ahead. What you need is the assurance that you are not abandoned in the very next step. If what is making you tired today is your own self, the battle in your mind, the constant voice of judgment, the feeling that you are not enough, not good enough, not capable enough, not lovable enough, then I want to touch that place with truth. You are not your own sentence. You are not the cruel things you have heard so often that they started sounding like truth. You are not your old failures. You are not your mistakes from years ago. You are not your fear of being left behind. You are not the feeling of being less than others. You are my child. There are parts of you that need to be corrected, but correction in love is very different from being crushed by condemnation. My voice lifts you up. The voice of despair drags you down. My voice calls you back home. The voice of shame tells you to hide. Learn to recognize the difference. I do not speak to you with contempt. I do not heal you through humiliation. I do not save you by making you feel worthless. I call you by your beloved name. Perhaps you have not realized it, but your heart has been thirsty for words like these for a very long time. Thirsty for someone who does not rush to judge you. Thirsty for someone who does not demand that you be okay right away. Thirsty for someone who does not use your pain to shame you. thirsty for someone who stays, thirsty for a love gentle enough to touch your deepest places without making them bleed more, thirsty to rest without fear, thirsty to be weak without being looked down on, thirsty to be loved without having to trade away yourself. My beloved child, I am that refuge for your tired soul. Not a temporary escape, but a real dwelling place. Not a passing emotion, but a peace you can learn to return to every day. You do not need to fix yourself before you come. You do not need to stop hurting before you are allowed to be held. You do not need to become hard and strong before you deserve tenderness. You do not need to understand the entire road before you are allowed to take the next step. You only need to come. Bring your weariness. Bring your eyes that burn from crying. Bring your heart that feels tight from carrying too much. Bring your unanswered questions. Bring even your silence. Lay it all before me. I do not promise that you will forget everything in a single moment, but I do promise that from the moment you place it in my hands, you will no longer be alone. And many times, the change does not begin with your circumstances changing. It begins with knowing that you are being carried by a love greater than your pain. Now slow down a little more. Do not hurry to think about what comes next after hearing these words. Do not rush back into the 100 demands waiting for you. Stay here for a little longer. Let me place my hand upon your soul. Let my peace move through every place inside you that has grown tense. Through the forehead burdened by too many thoughts. Through the eyes that have grown tired. Through the throat that has tightened around words you could never say. Through the chest that feels as though it has had to brace itself for too long. Through the heart that has been trembling for so many days. Through the memories that still ache unexpectedly. Through the fears you have not yet dared to name. I am not in a hurry. I do not come to pass over your pain. I come to remain. There are tears you have not yet cried, and I know that. There are cries for help you have not dared to speak, and I know that. There are parts of you that simply want to lie down and stop bracing, and I know that. And I say to you, it is all right. You can rest here. I want to give back to you the right to have peace, the right to say that you are tired, the right to admit that you need help, the right to set boundaries with whatever is draining your soul, the right to breathe, the right to live slower, the right not to chase expectations that are drying out your spirit. Perhaps for so long you believed that in order to hold everything together, you had to sacrifice your own peace. But there are things that are not worth the cost of your soul. There are relationships that only survive when you continually abandon yourself, and that is not healthy love. There are responsibilities you are carrying not because I called you to carry them, but because you are afraid of disappointing people. I did not come to load more weight onto your shoulders. I came to remove what was never yours to bear. But I also teach you this. Learn to let go. Not because what hurt you never mattered, but because it has stayed in your heart too long. Learn to forgive. Not to deny what happened, but so that the past will no longer rule your present. Learn to trust again. Not by naively trusting every person, but by believing that I can still do something new in ground that once was barren. Learn to be patient with yourself, because deep wounds do not heal on command. Learn to return to me, not only when you collapse, but as a daily rhythm for your soul. These things are not easy, but I do not tell you to do them and then leave you to struggle by yourself. I walk with you, one step at a time, one day at a time, one breath at a time. If you still cry tonight, then cry in my arms. If you still feel tired tomorrow, than be tired in my presence. If next week you touch the old wound again, do not be quick to despair. Healing does not move in a straight line. Some days are lighter. Some days are heavier. Sometimes you think you are doing better, and then a sentence, a memory, a familiar place sends your heart shaking again. That is all right. I do not leave because you are moving slowly. I do not give up on you because you are still struggling. My love does not require perfect progress before it remains with you. I am more patient than you realize, more gentle than you imagine, more faithful than all you have experienced from this world. And there will come a day when you realize you have changed. Not because every pain has vanished, but because it no longer rules you the way it once did. Things that used to crush you will still affect you, but they will no longer own you. The dark places that once swallowed you whole will become places where you learned to trust me more deeply. The wounds that once only caused pain may one day become the places that taught you how to love others with true compassion. I can use the very place that once made you feel weakest to reveal the strength of my love. I can make flowers bloom in dry ground. I can teach a shattered heart to love again, but this time more deeply, more honestly, more wisely. I can give you peace, not because life has stopped storming, but because in the middle of the storm, you have learned to hold on to me. Now, before you leave these words, let me say this one more time, slowly, like a father speaking to a child who has been through a very long day. You have been carrying so much. You have tried harder than people know. You have held more than you should have had to hold. You have hurt in places nobody could see. You have stayed silent when what you really needed was to be held. You have endured when you deserved tenderness. But from this day on, you do not have to keep going the same way. Let me walk with you. Let me loosen the knots inside your heart. Let me touch the pain you keep trying not to feel. Let me teach you how to rest. Let me tell your soul what this world can never fully say. You have not been forgotten. You are not worthless. You do not have to carry everything alone, and you can still be healed. I am here, in the very room where you are hearing these words, in the rhythm of your breath, beside the tears you are still holding back. I do not need you to do anything grand. I only need you to open your heart a little. Just whisper, Lord, I'm tired. That is enough for me to gather you close. Just say, please heal me. That is enough for grace to begin flowing into your dry places. Just say, stay with me, and I will stay. I do not come and go like a passing feeling. I am the one who remains. In the long night, in the early morning, in the moments when you are clear-minded, in the moments when you are utterly drained, in the tears, in the recovery, in the days when you feel me near, and even in the days when you feel nothing at all. I am still who I am. I still love you. I still lift you. I still call you by the most beautiful name, my beloved. So, my child, do not be afraid of your tiredness anymore. Let it become a sign that your soul needs to return to the source of life. Do not hate your tears anymore. Let them become the water that washes away some of the weight you have carried too long. Do not despise your fragility. It is often through that very fragility that the power of my love enters. Do not lose hope simply because you are not okay yet. A seed does not become a tree overnight, and yet it is still alive. Dawn does not arrive the instant you wish for it, and yet the sky begins changing long before you notice. Your soul is like that too. I am quietly at work within you, gently, deeply, faithfully. Rest in me tonight. Lay your head down in trust. Let worry slip out of your clenched hands. Let the chaos in your mind begin to slow. Let your heart hear another rhythm, the rhythm of peace. And if tonight you do not fall asleep right away, that is all right. Just lie there and know that I am keeping watch over you. If tonight you still have tears, that is all right. Cry in my arms. If tomorrow morning you wake up and some heaviness is still there, that is all right too. Bring that heaviness to me again. One day at a time, one step at a time, one breath at a time. I do not despise slow steps. I delight in honest returning. I bless your weary heart. I bless the eyes that have cried so much. I bless the mind that feels tangled and tired. I bless the wounds that are not fully healed yet. I bless your journey of restoration. I place my peace upon you, not the fragile kind of peace that depends on circumstances, but the kind that can remain even when life is still unresolved. I cover you with the tenderness you have lacked for too long. I break the power of every lie that told you that you are not enough, not worthy, not able to heal. I call life back into the dry places within you. I call hope back. I call rest back. I call light back. And above all, I call you back to the heart that was created to live in love, not in constant exhaustion. Remember this, my child. You are seen. You are known. You are loved. You are not alone. And you will be healed. I am here. I have always been here. And I will still be here until the heaviness in you slowly gives way, until light reaches the places you thought would never shine again, until even you begin to realize that on the days you thought you were falling apart, I was quietly holding you all along. I have never left you. And today, I am still here.